And then by the time I reached second year of engineering, I had saved about 50,000 rupees, and at that point of time I had to decide what to do with this money. Either buy something or invest. And buying did not seem. I mean, I didn't want anything at that point of time, so I just wanted to know what to do with this money, how to make it grow.
Ladies and gentlemen, today in the House of Finance, we have none other than Finance with Sharan. We have seen his content on Instagram. Let's be honest, all of us are in complete love with him. Right? Now, this podcast was shot way before. I think that time Sharan had a subscriber base of 15,000, 16,000 might be. But what I want you to focus in this podcast on how his mindset is built, how his mentality is built, how he takes challenges and how he takes creation on Instagram. This is going to be very, very exciting. तो वेट क्या कर रहे हो? आराम से जाओ, हेडफोन्स पहनो, मैं पॉडकास्ट शुरू कर रहा हूँ. आ जाओ. Sharan, the first time I saw you, I don't think I've told this story to you. First time I saw your reel, that reel, where there's you and your sister, and your sister is checking her bank FD account, and you are wearing those shades. What was the song? The Dangerous song? What was that song?
It's the Akon song of Dangerous Akon song. That was a trendy thing which was happening in Instagram back then. So it was the premise was you do something dangerous, but you seem like you're confident, and then when you pick up the mug, you start shaking the mug.
That was awesome, man. That was hilarious. That was the first time I actually saw you on Instagram. And I think after that, I was like, I have to have this guy with me to talk. And I just texted you and I got such an overwhelming response. So thank you so much, Sharan.
Absolutely. My pleasure. My pleasure.
So, Sharan, now I would want to first let the audience know about you first, right? So tell me about yourself. Tell me about your background, your parents, education, where you from?
So I got into mechanical engineering because I was told that it's an evergreen branch. But after I got into mechanical engineering, I realized that it's evergreen for all other kind of jobs that you can get, but not in the field of mechanical engineering. Nothing wrong with mechanical engineering per se. You've got to do a master's to actually get into the jobs which are core in that field. But it's quite difficult to get a job in that field if you just do a bachelor's. So once I got into mechanical engineering, I wanted to I didn't know what I wanted to do basically. And somewhere about second or third year, I kind of got into finance. And I started learning about the stock market. I started learning about investments. So that's how I, eventually got into finance. And coming to my background, right? So I'm basically from Mangalore, and so I was, I did my schooling and college all in Bangalore, actually. And then for my engineering, I came to Bangalore. And so in Mangalore, so my dad, so he lived his entire life in Mangalore. And he started a chit fund company in Mangalore, and then from that money he got into the restaurant business. And growing up, I could see how my dad used to work in the chit fund business, and then so I used to go with him to the restaurant and actually sit at the cashier counter, and actually really like counting money, whatever the money that was coming in, right, from the bills. So I used to love counting money, sitting at the cashier counter. So that is what my dad did, and then my mom is a homemaker. And I also have an elder sister who also comes in some of my Instagram reels. And so that's about my background.
Very interesting, yeah. Okay, I want to talk about the engineering part. Like you mentioned that you went to engineering. Why was that? Because was that a thumb rule like in your family that everyone goes to engineering? Or were you specifically inclined towards it? Or you were good at studies? What was the scene?
Right, that's a very interesting question actually. So I wouldn't say I was inclined towards engineering because I just had two options which are placed in front of me, either engineering or doctor. And I think engineering was something. So I was actually pushed to become a doctor actually, because being a doctor is considered to be prestigious, which it is. But I didn't think it was for me, and I'm very glad that I didn't pursue that path, because I'm seeing some of my friends who have gotten into that path and kind of wishing they hadn't. And I don't think I would have made a good doctor anyways. Coming to how I got into engineering. So throughout my school, I was always into finance. I was always into science. In my schooling days, I was, you can consider, you could say that I was one of those students who was very much into studies. Kind of a typical nerd. And the reason for that was...
So basically, to get a picture how much of a nerd you were. So can you tell me how much you scored in your 10th and 12th so that I get an idea, all of us get an idea that what were you in studies? If you're comfortable in that, by the way.
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, I got like 93% in 10th and again...
Wow, dude, he's a big time nerd. He's a big time geek. He's a topper.
Okay. I'll tell you the reason for that. So when I was in, I think, first or second grade, I asked my mom, right, why do you study? Why do people study? and she told me people study so that you can make a lot of money, so that you can become rich, and then you can buy all the things that you want in your life. And back then, when I wanted something, when I used to go to the toy store with my dad, I couldn't buy anything which was greater than 100 rupees, right? 100 rupees was my benchmark, and this was about 15 years back. So I couldn't buy anything more than that. So money obviously meant a great deal to me. And so when I heard my mom say that, when if you study, you can make a lot of money and you can buy anything that you want, that obviously, triggered something in me. And then from then onwards, I started studying by myself. I didn't need my mom to sit beside me and teach me. I started paying attention to classes, and that's sort of, that's how I became a nerd. And then, so throughout my entire schooling days, I was pretty much good at studies. And, I mean, if I didn't get, if I wasn't in the top one or top two in every subject, I used to feel really bad. So that's the kind of mindset I had back then. So going forward from that, so obviously that built up a lot of ego, right? So as a school kid who used to always top his classes, that built up a lot of ego. I felt like I was better than everyone. I felt like I was the smartest kid in the class. And then what happened is, then I would go to PUC, and then there is this college in Mangalore called Expert College. It's sort of like a cram school where students study from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So this is where people study for IIT, JEE Advanced, and all of that. So in this college, I was a part of a class where the toppers from all over the state were in the same class. So whoever you talk to was a topper in their particular class, right? So I was one among the toppers of all the state, and that's when the reality hit me that you're not that special. I mean, no matter how smart you are, there's always someone who's better than you. And that sort of was a reality check for me. And that's how brought the ego down a bit, right? Significantly, I would say. And going forward from PUC, I did not know what to do. I mean, I knew engineering was the path, but I didn't know which sort of engineering to get into.
Sorry, Sharan, I'd like to stop you there. Sorry.
Yeah.
But, it's very interesting what you said, that why you studied so hard, because you wanted to be outside of that crowd, right? Because that's something you identified, that and what you got a hit when you went to the people where they were all toppers, that you were not that special.
Right.
This is a very strong thing, because I remember this was the same reason for which I got into stock markets, because studies I was absolutely horrible, right? So when my dad used to tell me about, I was very lucky, to be very honest. So my dad used to tell me about stock market, this company is listed, and I used to buy a chocolate piece. I was wondering, is chocolate piece ka share ka price kitna hai? Is KitKat is listed and this listed? So I used to ask that. And I had that same thing, but my thing was completely different. My thing was that stock markets makes me special. So that is why I think it helped, in my mind at least, it helped me to stand out of the crowd. I thought I'm better than everyone else because I know this, that no one knows. I think the same thing was you with studies. Am I right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, when you get the mark sheet and you see that it's, you get full, right? And that sort of, gives you a lot of happiness, and it gives you that false sense of, feeling that you're better than everybody else. But later on, you realize that there are people who are better than you, and then okay, you got good marks in school, but that doesn't matter, right? In the long run, what matters in the long run is not how smart you are, but how hard you work in the work that you're doing. And I always something that I've realized little later on in my life is that if there is someone who's smarter than you, you can always beat him if you work harder than him. And working hard is the great equalizer. I think that's something that was a big takeaway for me a little later on in life.
So when you got into engineering, how was the journey in finance? Because like you, first of all, like you said, that generally I find a lot of people, a lot of engineers, I go to a lot of engineering colleges, right? And I get into people who are interested in stock markets, and especially from those people who have no background stock market. When I talk about background, as in their parents are not into stock markets, nobody's into stock markets.
Right.
So tell me about your thing, that you said that your father was into a chit fund managing company.
Right.
And he owns a restaurant, which is fantastic. So that means next time I'm coming to your hometown, when
Absolutely, yes.
when I'm going to be.
But the sad part is the restaurant is now closed. But you are still invited to my home because my mom makes really
irrelevant. You will treat me. You will. That's the irrelevant part.
Right.
But okay, coming back to the point. Now, did your father have any inclination towards stock markets, or did you have any exposure of stock markets while being in the childhood? How did you get your interest here from an engineering background and a person who's primarily was focused into studies? How did stock markets grab your eye?
Right. So my dad was involved in the stock market, like most people in that particular era, right? So when India started becoming liberal and started opening its borders in the late 90s, that's when a lot of money flowed into the stock market. And my dad also invested a significant amount. So he saw some significant gains, but then we saw two cycles of recession, right? The 2001 and the 2009 financial crisis. And that sort of, crystallized the idea in his head that stock market is sort of like gambling. And I think the same experience has been faced by most of the senior citizens of our country, people who are above 45 or in the 45 to 60 year age group. They think that stock market is like gambling, and that is the sort of mindset which has been instilled in my family as well. So the reason how I got interested into the stock market was when it's actually a very weird story, right? So I was in second year of engineering, and it was a lazy Sunday afternoon. So I was just sitting on the couch with my friend, and we're just flipping channels. We didn't know what to watch, and then I just happened to stop at the NDTV Profit channel, and it was 10 in the morning.
Which year is this?
This was 2016.
Okay, 2016. Okay, fair enough.
I mean, are you aware of exactly what happened in the market in 2016? Are you trying to recollect?
No, I just want to mental note that where exactly what were the markets at that time. So I just want to do that. Okay, yeah, continue. Yeah.
So it was 2016, and I just stopped at that channel, and I just listened. Both me and my friend were just listening to it, and we finding it very interesting. And then my friend goes off for an errand, right? And he returns 4 hours back. Okay, 4 to 5 hours back. Markets have closed, and I am still watching that channel. I'm looking at the post-market analysis, and I'm still watching that channel. Right, and that's how that kind of ignited my interest in the stock market. And another reason what I think was so during my childhood, so my parents taught me taught me the importance of saving, right? And so I used to get pocket money here and there, and instead of spending, I used to actually save it. I actually developed this habit of saving at a very early age, and I actually like to see the money grow. I was not invested anywhere. I used to just keep it in my pouch, and I used to like the money grow, right? I used to like looking at the notes. I earlier mentioned that I was sitting at the cashier counter in my dad's restaurant. I used to always like looking at the money, right? How much money has come in. So this is a habit which was inculcated in me, I think, due to all of these factors.
So was this habit only in you or your sister also? But I just want to understand that, was this habit only specifically you or your sister? Because according to your Instagram reels, your sister was definitely not into saving at all.
Right.
but was this basically you got that special thing, or your parents made sure that this habit should be instilled in both the children?
I mean, I think they tried to instill it in both of us. I think for me it happened because I used to go with my dad to the restaurant, and I used to sit at the cashier counter. So I think that sort of experience kind of instilled that idea in me. I think maybe it rubbed off on me a lot more stronger because I was sitting at that cashier counter.
Okay, so we'll change the topic because your sister might watch this podcast.
She's right here actually.
Okay, so yes, moving forward. Then you generated a habit of saving. Yes, then.
And then by the time I reached second year of engineering, I had saved about 50,000 rupees. And at that point of time, I had to decide what to do with this money. Either buy something or invest. And buying did not seem. I mean, I didn't want anything at that point of time. So I just wanted to know what to do with this money, how to make it grow. Right? I wanted the money to grow, and I wanted to find what the best ways of growing it. And obviously, I was aware of the stock market and all of that. But then I first wanted to understand the basics, right? Because at that point of time, I had reached the point where whenever I'm learning something new, I would read 10 articles, or I would read a book on it, or I would watch 10 videos on it, or I would talk to 2 to 3 people. So that was the level of depth I used to go by that point of my life. So while I was doing this research, I researched about mutual funds. And I realized that mutual funds is something which, you don't need to be an expert, right? You don't have to do the company analysis by yourself, because there is an expert sitting called a fund manager who will take care of this for you. So I learned about this, and it was really interesting for me. And back then, mutual funds wasn't that popular, number one. And number two, among my peers, nobody knew about what mutual funds is. This was during at that point of time. So I was like one of the first people among my friends who started getting into mutual funds and starting investing in it. And obviously I told my friends about it, and all of us, together we started investing into mutual funds.
अब म्यूचुअल फंड्स की बात हो रही है ना, सो लेट मी इंट्रोड्यूस यू द ग्रो प्लेटफॉर्म. दिस इज वन ऑफ द बेस्ट ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म्स फॉर यू टू मेक इन्वेस्टमेंट्स. वाई आई लव ग्रो? बिकॉज यहाँ पे इवन इफ यू हैव नो आइडिया अबाउट फाइनेंस ना, ये प्लेटफॉर्म इतना सिंपलिस्टिकली डिजाइंड है दैट यू विल नॉट हैव एनी प्रॉब्लम. देर आर नो एजेंट्स हियर, देर इज नो पेपर वर्क हियर, एंड देर इज नो मिडल मैन हियर. सो व्हेन यू बाय द म्यूचुअल फंड, ग्रो डज नॉट चार्ज एनी कमीशन फॉर इट, एंड यू बाय इट डायरेक्ट. एक म्यूचुअल फंड जो मुझे लग रहा है काफी अच्छा कर रहा है, आदित्य बिरला सन लाइफ फ्लेक्सी कैप फंड डायरेक्ट ग्रोथ. So this is one mutual fund that you should definitely look into. इसकी returns काफी अच्छी आ रही हैं. ये हो गया. अब चलते हैं दोबारा वीडियो पे. Let's see what Sharan has to say. Let's go.
That was how the journey began of investing. Yeah, so gradually then after that I wanted to get into stocks as well. So I picked, I Googled what is the best book in investing, and I think Google will, throw out The Intelligent Investor, right? So that seemed like an ideal book to me. So I picked that up. And after I picked it up, I realized that it's a very difficult book to read. I mean, there are so many.
Yes. This is one thing that happens to everyone, and this is the same with me. In 2010 when I started, The first book I googled, right? Warren Buffett. He's the most commercially well-known investor. So who's his mentor? Benjamin Graham. I bought Intelligent Investor, and trust me, buddy, I could not understand a word of it. I was getting so irritated.
Yes.
Right. So how was your tell us about Intelligent Investor, because a lot of people start with that book. Again, that book is genius, but I personally feel that I am still understanding that book. That book has so many layers, with experience you understand ki, "Arey yaar, that is making sense what that book was written."
Right.
So I feel it's got so many layers. I'm still discovering what Intelligent Investor has to say. So what's your take on Intelligent Investor? How's your experience?
So up until then, I used to read, mostly fiction books, right? And those are obviously very easy to read, right? You don't actually have to go back to the earlier paragraph to understand what the next paragraph is. It's very natural when you read a fiction book. And this particular book took it to a whole new level, right? I mean, there are non-fiction books which are difficult to read, but this book was such that every sentence, you actually have to put thought into that sentence to understand what it actually meant. And if you don't understand a word, you actually need to Google it and then come back to understand or get the essence of that sentence. So that entire process used to take a very long time, right? Maybe over an hour, I could complete like 5 to 6 pages because it's such a dense book with so many different terminologies. Yeah, but the easiest part of the book was that there are notes which are there at the end of every chapter. So that makes it very easy. Sometimes you feel like you're just going to read the notes of every chapter, but then you'll feel like you're not doing justice to the book. So you want to read all the pages. And then when you read all the pages again, you feel, disappointed that it's taking a lot of time. You feel frustrated. So I think to start off with, in hindsight, I think it isn't the best book to start off with, because if a complete beginner in finance starts off by reading that book, they might kind of be put off about finance and might think that this is not their cup of tea, right? But so I think they should start off with some much simpler books to get started off with. Or if you're adamant on starting off with book, then you can I personally supplemented with the Investopedia, right? If there was any terminal I didn't understand, I used to go to Investopedia and find out what it was. But it's a very long process, right?
Any other book you recommend?
Yeah, so another book that I recommend is something that I'm currently reading. That is the 13 Secrets to Incredible Wealth. So that's a very simple book, and I think that is something which most beginners to start off with, because it's written from the perspective of the common man and how he should invest his money in the Indian scenario, right? And it covers everything in that simple language, and it gives a lot of analogies as well, right? So I think that's a very, very, very nice book to start off with, and that's something that I'm reading currently. One more book I want to recommend is Coffee Can Investing. It's written by
Saurabh Mukherjee.
Yeah.
And Coffee Can Investing. The best thing I think about Coffee Can, it is so easy. It's such an easy read. I genuinely read it like a novel, but it's genuinely easy read. So compared to other stock market books, I found it very easy. So yeah, Coffee Can Investing, fantastic.
Right, really nice book. And I really like watching his videos as well on YouTube. The way he talks about the businesses that they invest in, the methodology of investing. Right, it's really, really, he's a very engaging speaker. So
definitely, as a matter of fact, in my YouTube itself, I think I made an entire series on the stock market gurus, and Saurabh Mukherjee was one of them. I generally look forward to him,
right?
Because the way he makes it sound so simple, no? And I feel that if someone is making something sound very complicated, there are two possibilities. This is my personal opinion. आप मुझे बताना if you agree with me or not. That either that person is not explaining that thing correctly, or that person does not know that thing himself.
Right. Yeah. I also agree with that same mantra, same principle. Yeah.
Yeah. So the things have to be easy. So this is a shout out.
I mean, if you cannot explain it like you would like to explain it to a 5-year-old, then you probably do not understand it. That's what I think.
Exactly. I think this was a quote somewhere in business. It was a business quote that if your business plan cannot be understood by an 8-year-old, that business plan is not worth it. Something like this. I'm forgetting who quoted this, or I might be even paraphrasing the quote, but this was the context, and you're right. Okay, now I went through your profile and everything, and I saw that you have had a work experience in KPMG, right? Then you're currently still in a job. You're working with Kuliza.
Kuliza, yes, it's a fintech company wherein I work as a product manager.
As in how being in a job helps in stock market, because there are a lot of people who I know personally. Now, fortunately, I was in a luckier situation personally. Why? Because I had the liberty, because my father was into stock markets a little bit. So I had the liberty that I had my father's support. So he told me, "Chal beta, kuch nahi. You don't want to go to college, don't go to college, and if you're taking time to earn, doesn't matter, take your time." So I did not have that pressure, because basically I did not have that pressure to be the bread earner of my family. That majorly 99% of the country has to go this pressure.
Right.
I never know that how difficult is it to manage a job with stock market. So I want to ask you that a lot of people out there who are passionate for stock markets, they're trying to juggle job and stock markets. So what would be your advice to them? And first, I would want to know what are the three challenges you face managing job and stock markets together, and what are the advantages of this situation? Three challenges, three advantages.
Yeah, so firstly, I would like to tell you that I don't invest actively in the stock market, right? I don't look at the stock prices on a daily basis. I'm not an active trader. I'm a passive investor, and I look at value investing. And I sincerely believe that if you want to be an active investor, you cannot have another primary job. You have to be focused on the market full time, right? 9:15.
Right. If you are intraday trader, I think you mean to say intraday trader. If you want to be like a full-time trader.
Yes, you have to be a full-time trader. You cannot have another job and then do this at the same time. I sincerely believe that. Right. So I wouldn't be the right person to say how intraday trading can be done along with the primary job. So because I don't do it personally. I do value investing, wherein I find out what I follow the principle of coffee can investing, because that seemed like a very simple methodology of filtering out the stocks based on few the governing financial metrics of a company. So I follow that principle. And another thing about working in the jobs that I worked with, right? So for example, I started off working as a management consultant at KPMG. So I was surrounded with such brilliant people. They graduated from the top MBA colleges. So I was constantly learning from them every day. And more than talking about work, I mean, whenever we were during our free time, we were actually talking about what is going on in the markets, what companies are doing, and where can we take a position, and what company should we invest in. I mean, there was a CA, there was an MBA guy. So this CA used to do all this, detailed financial analysis of the financial reports, and he used to tell us what he learned about this company, what kind of malpractice are done with this company. So we used to have all these kind of interesting conversations. So that was an advantage of working at KPMG, surrounded by brilliant people. Throughout my career.
So what I get from you is that the main thing is that you are clearly saying that if you are into trading, intraday trading, you cannot juggle a job and a trading together.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest, I could not agree with you more on this. And I think I said this also on a public platform. And Abhi, as of now, what I appreciate that you've made a system for yourself. That you are in a job, you know that, and you've made investing around that. So you plan your investment in such a way that you don't need to put in that much of time. So you can only put in that much of time which you can give apart from a job. Am I right?
Right. Absolutely.
How I discovered you is that Sharan, I saw your Instagram page. It is fantastic. And guys, link of that Instagram page is in the description below. And definitely, this is one page I highly recommend you to follow. Now, what's the story of Instagram? How did you come on Instagram? As of now, how many followers do you have?
It's about, I think about 13,500.
Yeah, it's around 15K. So, how did you start on this Instagram journey? We always round it off, right? So, how do you start on your Instagram journey, and what's the scene on that? Did you plan to grow it, or were you just having fun with it? What's the scene?
Right. So, I did not, set forth to start off with the Instagram page. Instagram was started in order to supplement my YouTube page. So, that's what I started with. So, during the pandemic, right, like most of it, we had a lot of free time. So I used to watch a lot of content on YouTube. I think my watching on YouTube kind of increased 5 times. I used to not watch Netflix a lot. I used to actually watch YouTube a lot. And I discovered a lot of great creators. And one of them who was really inspiring to me was Ali Abdaal. I think you should actually absolutely check him out. He's a guru on productivity. So I used to really enjoy watching his videos. And in his videos, he says there is always something that you can offer to the world. But what most people think that is that we know what we think that we know is very simple. Because since we know it, we think that other people also can easily find out through online sources. But the reality is that what is simple for you might not be simple for someone else. There is always something everybody can teach to someone else. And I kind of got thinking about it. What am I good at? And I realized that I'm good at investing. But I used to always think that this is something that anybody can learn. I mean, I also learned it by reading articles and watching videos. So anybody can do this. This knowledge must be easy. The information is easily available. So there is not much that I can teach, right? So that is what I used to think. But then after watching his videos, my mindset changed. So I thought, let me do a video and let me put it on YouTube. And I just started off, thinking, let me just do one video. And this is back in December, last year, December. And I did not know how to edit. I was actually very camera shy, right? And I was not a really, outgoing person. I used to not actually, talk so much. So it was a really challenging thing for me. But when that thought came to me, I immediately, took out my laptop and wrote a script. I wrote the entire script for my first video. And I thought, let me take it step by step. At this point in time, I didn't know how to do editing and any of that. I just wrote the script. That's it. So then I go to my room. I shoot the video, and then I learn how to edit. And then after I do this entire process, then I upload. This entire process took me about 2 weeks, right? But right now I currently target to post 1 week per video. But to make that first video, it took me 2 weeks, right? And so that's how I got started into making YouTube videos. And then after I did about 2 or 3 videos, and then I started getting a lot of feedback from people, mostly my friends, because in the beginning only your friends are gonna watch, and they're mostly watching because they are your friends, right? And so I got a lot of feedback, and I was continuously working upon them. But then I felt like the growth wasn't happening that quickly, right? Because YouTube is a very different platform compared to Instagram. It's very, very difficult to grow on YouTube, and the reach is not, it doesn't go viral like how Instagram Reels go, right? It's a very different platform. So I was getting very frustrated, right? So what I thought was, I have my Instagram page. Why don't I promote my YouTube channel on my Instagram? So that was how I got into Instagram. So starting, I just promoted my Instagram YouTube stuff on my Instagram personal account, right? So that's how I started off doing, but that didn't show much impact. So then I started talking to my sister, and then she recommended, why don't we create a separate page, right, focused just on finance. And initially I wasn't sure, because Instagram is a very social platform, right? Everybody watches you. A lot of friends are constantly seeing what you're doing. So I was really unsure. But then I kind of took this leap of faith, and I created this, with the help of my sister, I created this, separate Instagram page called Finance with Sharan. And that's how it started. That's how the Instagram page started. And after starting that, we were able to, cross about, 200 followers. It was pretty easily we were able to cross 200 followers. And so that back then I had about barely 100 subscribers on YouTube. So I was like, wow, okay, so Instagram, you can grow it pretty quickly. And so in the initial phase, I was just putting weekly posts, because I put the weekly content on YouTube. So I thought I'll just put weekly posts on my Instagram page as well. But then gradually my sister told me, let's try out Reels. I was like, what is Reel? I didn't know what a Reel was. And then she told me a Reel is something like a TikTok video. And back then TikTok had a negative connotation, right? It recently got banned in India. So I was not really sure if I want to do something like this, right? And then after that, she started showing me what these Reels look like, right? She started showing me these these Reels by mostly the fashion bloggers and all, who put these they follow the trending kind of Reels. So I was not really sure if I could, or if I wanted to do this. So I thought, let me take a different approach. Let me just talk on my Reel. Let me just talk about what I know. I didn't really think about how to make it trending or how to make it viral. I didn't think about those things. I just thought, let me just talk about what I know on a Reel. So that's how it started. And then Reels, as you know, has a tremendous reach on Instagram, and that really helped me grow my follower base as well. And then I think about 2 weeks back, one of my Reels, it actually blew up. It was the first time that I did a Reel with my sister. And at this point of time, I was also comfortable doing music kind of Reels. Right? I think the more you do, the more you put yourself out there, the more comfortable you become. So I was really, by that point of time, I was comfortable doing music kind of Reels as well. So in this particular Reel, we follow this trend, which is this Akon song called Dangerous. And the premise of the video is me telling my sister that it's okay to get out of fixed deposits and move into mutual funds. I think many people in our country want to play it safe and put all the money in fixed deposits, and haven't even they think mutual funds is related to the stock market, and they just don't want to bother with that. So I thought, let's make a Reel around this. So we shot this Reel, and I think over a matter of 1 week, it kind of generated 1.3 million views. And that was something, completely unexpected for me, because when it hit 10,000, I thought, that's it. That is what we're going to reach. And I thought that is the peak. And then it reaches 1 lakh. And then when it reaches 1 million, I thought, this is something amazing. This is something that I never expected. If you had gone, 2 months back in time and tell me that I'm going to make a Reel which is going to reach 1 million views, I would have never believed you, right? So, and that's how it happened. So over a period of 2 weeks, we gained 10,000 followers. Right, and that's how it happened. Just over the past 2 weeks. I think we met about a week back, and I think the reason we met was also because of that Reel, because that's how I got the reach, and that's how it came to you. So so completely surprised and completely blessed to have gotten this kind of reach. So yeah, that's kind of been my journey of starting on YouTube and then moving to Instagram.
Nice, man, nice. Well, actually, if you think about it, social media makes life so much easier, right? And so much effective. I think the concept of the reels on people talking about finance on reels, because I remember this idea was quite bizarre to keep as modest word, because how can you explain something about finance in 15 seconds? How the idea itself was that finance is complicated, it can't be so small, it has to be like 5 hour session. But yeah, man, the entire new revelation and you being the part of it, that you making reels, short reels about finance, which have such a, well, it's more of an infotainment, I would say. It's entertainment also, information, and it's quick also. So that is something cool.
And that's the
So Acha, tell me, so how many people are you in your team right now? How many people are you? Do you have a team? Are you working towards building a team, or it's you and your sister? What are you working on?
So yeah, right now it's just me and my sister working on the team. That's it, just two of us. And maybe in the future plan, I'm not sure, because we're kind of having a lot of fun doing this, and we're not that overwhelmed. Also, I have a full-time job as well, but we're not that overwhelmed, and we're having fun at the same time. So we wouldn't want to give the work away to someone else, because that would take the fun away from it.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years with this page? Do you see that you're going to take finance with Sharan to another level, or you're just doing it as a hobby basis? How do you see yourself?
Right. So I'm one of those people who don't believe in a long-term plan, because I used to have 5-year plan and a 10-year plan, and this is a very common question which is asked in interviews as well, right? And I firmly believe that it is not possible to have a plan which is greater than 1 year, because life is very dynamic, and so conditions change without a notice. Because what I sought to do 5 years earlier is not what I am today. And what I would want to do 5 years from now, considering the situations that I have, considering the information that I have today, might not be where I would want to be after I find out new information, right? Because we don't know what we don't know. And once we get to learn about the things that we don't know, our goals will continuously keep changing. And that is what I think. So if you ask me what my 1 year plan is to just work on my career full time, and also continuously come up with good content on finance and help people to invest, because I think there is a significant gap today in terms of the knowledge on investing, because it is not taught to us, right? I mean, investing is taught only to people who would have pursued a career in management, or would have pursued a career in finance, but to the vast majority of us, especially in India, right, who do their schooling and then go into engineering or doctor, we are really not taught about how money should be managed or how investing.
100%, man, 100%. Actually, though, I feel it for a fact that even people, you're from engineering background, that's why you're saying, but even people from finance, even they don't know anything about stock markets or money. We are, me being a complete finance student, we are far away from this. I remember I learned how to read a balance sheet to analyze stocks at the age of 20, 21. Or that for me was very high, because I started at the age of 18.
Right.
And in my commerce exams, I used to just mug up all the entries and just pass all my exams. This is how every commerce student story is. So I think it's that the education system is such a way that maybe things need to change. Maybe, and specifically, I think Indian parents need to talk more about finance to their family, because I can see that one similarity between our childhood is that your father talked about finance to you. Your father was very comfortable, you handling money, you counting money, as you can said. The same situation was with me. So my father used to tell me about stocks, and I remember still my relatives used to tell my dad that don't involve the children into money matters right now. This is not a good thing, and don't talk. There's a very, I don't know if you've heard this, that especially in North Delhi is a very big taboo. North India is that you don't talk about money with your children.
Here as well, actually, it is considered as a taboo here as well.
So if someone does not have that, okay, generally I would say stereotypically one does not have that. People don't talk about money to the children. People don't even give children a lot of money to count like your father used to do. Right. What would you advise them? Because for them, it's not an uphill road. For them, what I feel, it's a dark road which they first have to discover the uphill road, and then they have to start planning to climb it. Are you getting what I'm saying? So what would you advise them? If you can only give them only one advice, what would that be?
I think, most of the things that our parents tell us, right? They tell us, they give us advice, which is along the direction of us being able to make money, right? Whatever advice they give us to choose a particular career path or to not do this particular career path, those advice are all geared towards creating a stable life wherein you have a stable job, wherein you can make a good amount of money, and all their advice are geared towards that. But they are completely ignoring this dimension wherein we need to be told what to do with the money that we earn, and that is completely ignored. So my only advice to parents would be, don't just stick to the part wherein you teach your kids how to make money, but also give them some advice on what to do with the money that they earn. And that is something which is not done, in my opinion. And that is something which needs to be addressed, not just by our parents, but also by our schools. I think there has to be a mandatory subject in all schools about money management, and that is something which is not there today.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So, Sharan, one last question. So, we have had a long journey. I've had a lot of fun. So, tell me this, that if someone wants to enter the world of finance, he has no idea about stock markets and he has a perception that stock markets are gamble, which is that one book you would advise him that read this book and then take your call. As in, what would be that one book that you would say ki ye book pad lo, फिर you decide whether you want to get into finance or not.
Right. So this is the book that I recommended earlier, right? The 13 Steps to Incredible Wealth. I think the book that I'm currently reading as well. I think it's a fantastic book. I mean, I found this book while I was at an airport. I was just exploring a bookshop and I just picked this book up randomly. And it is not a book that is, that I have not heard of this book before. It is not a popular book as such, or maybe I'm not aware. But the book is written in such a way that it is made completely for the common man. Right, and it is so simple to understand, and the real world analysis that they give, right? For example, let's say what would happen to your money if you just invest it in a fixed deposit, or if you don't invest it at all, just keep it lying in a locker. What would happen to that money? We think that the money is going to be the same, but the impact of inflation is something that we are not able to comprehend, because that happens over a period of many years, and human beings are not able to comprehend what happens over many years from this point of time. And that analogy has been explained in such great depth and in such simple language. I think it's a very incredible book that way, right? Based on the real world analysis that they give. This is just one example that I'm giving. So yeah, this is the one book that I would recommend, right? When you want to start with investing.
So Superman, thank you so much for giving time. Actually, we learned a lot. And for people specifically who are from the engineering background, people specifically who aspire to be in stock markets, my friend, here is someone to take inspiration from. He is someone who is from the engineering background, who discovered stock markets and now is not only doing investing in it, but taking it one step further by helping other people achieve it. So, Sharan, where all can our audiences find you?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me here, Harsh. It's been an absolute pleasure. And this is, I don't know how, how comfortable I've been here. I mean, I don't know, while I've been talking, I don't know how comfortable I'm going to come out in the final cut of the video, because this is my first podcast ever, and I was really nervous.
That depends on how good you treat me in Bangalore. That depends on that.
I hope your editing team does a good job, but yeah, it's been a quite, amazing conversation that we've had. And I haven't really, talked about these sort of things. I mean, the kind of questions that me asked hasn't been asked to me by anybody else. So it kind of got me thinking. Right? It kind of made me think deep into some of the incidents that have happened in my life. So I think this conversation was really eye-opening to me, and also kind of helped me realize how far I've come, right? From where I was as a little boy, counting money in my dad's restaurant. So I think a wonderful conversation. I just want to say that. And so to the audience, to the number of the number of people that you're constantly adding value to every day, if you would like to also learn about personal finance, you can check me out on my Instagram page called Finance with Sharan, and you can also check out my YouTube page. It's quite small, but I do put out content on a weekly basis. It will be long form content like how Harsh puts out. That is also called Finance with Sharan, so you can check that out as well.
So guys, I'm going to put all Sharan's links in the description box. Whatever social media you are on, follow him. Genuinely, he comes with my personal recommendation because he's genuinely good. I generally love his content. Simple, easy, and I would say effective. And the best part is I think it's executionable. So it's not a big jargons and gyan what he's giving. He's actually giving small, simple execution points. So that's perfect, Sharan. So that was about it. We wish you all the very best, man. Thank you again for connecting with us. It was a pleasure. And definitely we'll do something like this again.
Absolutely, Harsh. Thank you so much for having me here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Sharan for you. मुझे comment करके बताओ how you like the session. Did you like the session? What do you like about him? What did you consider that this is what his quality is because of which he's doing good? In the comment box, tell me. I would love to read your feedback. And don't forget about the Grow app. Link description में है. Download it. Use it for your advantage. और हमारे बहुत पॉडकास्ट है, यू कैन चेक देम आउट. एंड इफ यू आर समवन हु नीड्स हेल्प इन बेसिक्स इन स्टॉक मार्केट, देन दोस्त वीडियो आई बटन में दे रहा हूँ. उस वीडियो के बाद यू विल नॉट हैव एनी डाउट्स इन द बेसिक्स ऑफ स्टॉक मार्केट. वॉच दैट इफ यू हैव टाइम फॉर दिस आफ्टर दिस. सो दैट्स इट फॉर टुडे. दिस गोला स्कूल ऑफ फाइनेंस, फाइनेंशियली एम्पावरिंग यू.